Take a while. This is how you come down.
Dumped snow again. Barfed snow again, and now it's ice. Ice is falling from the sky and coating everything. Excuse me. The BC Ferry Corporation is canceling sailings left, right, and center. Their excuse today was because of fog. But meanwhile, the actual, real, true excuse is when they went to force people, qualified professional sailors, to take one of these, the majority of the people quit, and the government destroyed their lives by taking away their livelihood, just like that. And the BC Ferry Corporation, they replaced those qualified, long-term, awesome people with a bunch of funky inbred losers that don't know what they're doing, and the whole place has been falling apart steadily. Sadly, and the word of the street was last night people on the ferry were overhearing the staff saying flat out they're planning on canceling sailings today, just a couple days before Christmas. No big deal. And probably because the majority of these idiots probably don't even drive and couldn't even make it. They don't want to drive to the ferries to go to work or something, whatever it is. But that is the actual reason. It's due to the failure of our government forcing good, hardworking, qualified, intelligent people to lose their jobs because they didn't take that forced, failed move. So that's kind of shitty because the kids have to travel today and it doesn't look like they're going to make it because they have to fly east for their Christmas, for the other half of their Christmas. And who knows how many other people are getting stranded and screwed over because of the failure of the people who are in the position to be called so-called leaders. It's brutal. Anyways, I'll stop right there. I was fresh off the plate this morning. What else? Sue got another batch of hats in last night into the store. I think they're almost all gone already. It's frustrating, and we just don't have time to figure out a smoother, better way to do it yet. And she's a little overwhelmed because of the labor it takes. Not the labor, it's just the time, the labor, whatever you want to call it. It's just hard because no matter what you do in Canada to ship to the outside of the country, you can fill out to, fill out from, get a pre-made sticker, put it on there no matter what, and then you get to the Canadian Post Office and they give you another piece of sticker they want to stick on it, and you have to fill it again by hand. Oh! So that kind of sucks. But anyway, it's just no time to figure out the appropriate route to do this yet. So we're going to do one more batch of them before the hoodies and all the t-shirts come in with the other stuff. And then I'll fire up my hunting items again, which I had on here 6 or 7 years ago. And again, I just didn't have time to do it. And we'll make that available too, but in a smoother way. And that smoother route will be coming shortly, all right? So there is fresh hats in the store right now, but they're going frickin' fast. Sorry, I apologize. But it's not that easy right now, especially this time of year, right? But I'm going to go to our local small business, and I'm going to make one more substantial order just to have them right away, and then we'll do it this route one more time, and then hopefully that's it, and we'll move on to the smoother method. Okay. Now, enough of that shit. It's time to hear some people. I love hearing from the people, man. I love hearing from the people. I freaking love it. Love it. Everybody, speak open. Speak free. I got the shop door closed. I don't think this camera picks up the echo, right? So I'm taking a bit of a chance here because I know some people have tinnitus like I do. They hear that echo and it screws them up for hearing. We'll see how we make out. This is titled The Rest of the Story. Hey, Steve, earlier this evening, December 1st, my husband, Louis Parnell, sent you some of these pictures taken on the Centralia Chehalis Airport on the west side of and just off exit 87 on Interstate 5 in Washington State. He told you that our soldiers from Fort Lewis, Washington, fly back and forth between Fort Lewis, and they use our little airport here in Chehalis to practice flying and getting used to working in unfamiliar areas. They call our airport Base Chehalis. Go figure. Did I read this? The Chronicle newspaper from Centralia, Washington, did a story about why so many helicopters fly over us constantly and mostly at night. The paper's photographer took these pictures that day of the story that took place at our little airport here in Chehalis, Washington, off I-5, exit 87. Lewis all sent you 2 true stories that happened at Fort Lewis involving Bigfoot on the Army base. However, Lewis did not explain to you what happened to us in the summer 2012. His mother's property is less than a mile away from the east side of I-5, exit 88, almost directly across from the airport, right on the other side of I-5. The Army would fly directly over her house on a nightly basis. That'd be annoying as F, wouldn't it? So we would go and sit up on the roof at times and watch him fly over. Here's our story. Lewis will tell you what he saw through his binoculars on the corner of the dike during the daylight. It was a Sasquatch. He wasn't looking for it. He was watching the army fly over the house that day for hours. As for me, I used my Sony Hi8 video camera and captured an unknown animal screaming and tearing up a deer. 3 hours this animal was screaming, growling, whooping, and tearing up the woods, and the horrific sounds of the deer screaming and gurgling as it was being shredded up alive. That night after I recorded the sounds, something very strange and unusual happened. Well, after dark, around 11 p.m., for an hour or more, a solid black military helicopter hovered in one spot above the back of Mom's 3-acre pasture with the woods, where the woods border the property. It was in line with I-5 pointed north, nose first towards Mom's house. Lewis sat up on the roof and watched it with his binoculars. The chopper was hovering no more than 300 feet above the woods for an hour. No lights on, just solid black. Lewis could see what looked like soldiers climbing down a rope, hanging out the other side of the chopper. When the helicopter was done doing what it was doing, it flew directly over Lewis's head. Fast forward 2022, the Chronicle newspaper had this picture of the helicopter in the air at the Chehalis, Washington airport. The ironic thing about the helicopter, it has a huge decal of a Sasquatch on both sides of it, just below the rotors. Thank you, and God bless your strong sense of courage and fearless state of mind. We have more strange happenings we have experienced together, but that's for another day. Sincerely, Connie Lynn and Lewis Parnell. Okay, well, we shared these pictures already. There's 3. So anyways, I'll show it to you guys. I'm sure we've seen them. I've shared them already. There's the helicopter she sent with the Sasquatch decals on the vehicles, right? Interesting. An hour hovering, men climbing out. I would have been all over that one. If that happened in my back 40, I would be so over there. I would go stealth mode if I could. Not that the thermals that I'm sure they have would let me sneak by, but I would be so sneaking in the timber in the pitch black to get underneath the helicopter. I'd get up on those guys and see what the hell was going on. That's just me though, and I'm not your smartest person in the barrel, right? I appreciate you saying that in big time. And anything else you have that you think's gonna help add to our or my or anyone's knowledge base, please send more, okay? Please send more. And make sure you speak openly all over the frickin' place when you're out and about, family, whatever. Speak open, tell the truth. This is titled Caps Lock Why, with about 7 question marks. Steve, just because someone asks a question doesn't mean they want an answer, or they don't want the real answer. Excuse me. The fact that so many lies were told by politicians and some news outlets here in the States only serve to make people more hesitant to believe. We tried to point people in the right direction, but even with my knowledge of laboratory methods and over 40 years' experience, they did not believe. Excuse me. When faced with the truth, people would often ask, why would my government lie to me? I'm not sure I know that answer, but I have my own thoughts about it. So it's not that we don't care, it's just that I am tired of beating my head against a wall. I retired this year and have stayed at home to avoid what I dealt with the last 3 years, pandemic, lies, stupidity, and rudeness. Most people only went out when they had to. My job brought me in contact with a lot of those. If you work through it, you notice that people got rude and more angry as the pandemic went on. The public is much more angry even today. The world has changed, and not necessarily for the better. People need to wake up to what our governments are doing and start working together. People have so much going on in their lives that they don't have time to care about others. Sad sign of the times. Sorry for the length, but you asked. Keep doing what you do. It helps people. Love your photography, Pat B. Yeah, Pat, it's frustrating. It is frustrating times, but, you know, I used to go around thinking nobody gave a shit about nothing. Everybody's just a drone. But the more we do this here, the more I realize that there is a shit pile of good people out there that give a shit. It's just the way it is, and they're here. And the club is getting bigger and bigger and bigger, not only in this channel, but numerous other places. People have no choice. If you have half a brain, you have no choice but to start to care. these days because the shit storm is just brewing up and brewing up and brewing up. People I think, are more commonly being left with the choice today of you better start to care, or down the drain over there, you're going to have to go, right? There's no way out of it. And it also makes me wonder about the other past civilizations, intelligent civilizations that have been proven to have come and gone before us. And I wonder how far they got to go with their shitstorm before it, excuse me, absolutely imploded. I wonder, right? I mean, I'm quite certain we're not at imploding level yet, but we're rapidly on our way, don't you think? Or are we rapidly becoming more aware and it makes it seem like we're on our way to imploding? Because maybe this is the transition, maybe this is the rite of passage we all have to go through before it possibly gets better. Or does a intelligent society, modern society, whatever you want to call it. Actually, I'm going to bite my lip. That's not even on topic. I'm going to bite my lip. I have to hear more people, not me. But anyways, what we never do is we never give up hope. We never quit. We never quit, right? You never ever quit. Every thought, I knew this, I'm going to pass this on, then I read. Every thought you keep between your ears eventually comes true. Okay? Remember that. And that is very, very true. And I think shit's going to get better. I think we're going to rise up and we're going to stomp out the evil pricks. That's what I think, nonstop. Hey, Steve. Hey, Steve. This one's a bit long. Call me Norman. All right, Norman. I learned to shoot 22 open sights at 8 years old. Dad wouldn't let us hunt until we were 16. But I bought my own gun and license at 13. This is all back in 76, 77. I went back in a neighbor's woods squirrel hunting one day over by Lima, Ohio, where I grew out, never up. Anyhow, as I got back in the woods, the guy didn't allow hunting. But as I went back there was a pack of dogs attacking the guy's sheep. I shot 15 of all different breeds. 2 got away. About that time, I heard the farmer coming on his 8N Ford tractor. I went out the other way. Later that day, my brother, who was married to the farmer's daughter, came into his house. He told my brother about the sheep, several dead and several wounded, like 30 total. Most of the wounded died too. My brother laughed and told him it was probably me. He came down and asked me, I admitted to it, and told him to call the dog warden. The state would have to pay for his sheep. He called the dog warden and they asked me if there were any more dogs. I said yes and told him where they belonged. They were white German shepherds. The guy tried to deny it, but the dog warden raised the lips up off the dogs and found sheep wool in their teeth. He put both dogs down. The farmer told me to hunt anytime I wanted. About a year later, I'd gotten a Norwegian elk hound female who I was training her to hunt. I decided I was going to take her back in those woods and try to get a coon. My little brother begged to go. I finally gave in and let him lead the dog. I had an old wheat light and an old single-shot 22. As we got down to the farmer's field, soybean, he had just picked, as we started towards the wood, I shined the light ahead and there was a set of eyes looking at us as big as saucers. Red and black rings, about 6 to 8 inches between. So I dropped to one knee and I took aim and shot at the right eye and it grunted. Oh my God, no way. I shot the left eye and it grunted. Shot the right eye again and it grunted and turned left and disappeared. We turned the dog loose and went running to see what I shot. There's nothing there. No tracks, no blood, nothing. I had a friend in school who said he had been abducted by aliens. He wanted to see if he could figure out if it was an alien, but we couldn't find anything. Hunted that woods for years after never seeing anything more. No one else would believe the story, but I know what we seen could barely make out the outline of the creature. The eyes was too bright to see, the outline too good. But I'm 6 foot and it was as tall as me, but it was standing in a dried up ditch line that put it at least 7 feet tall. We moved to Monroe County, Ohio, mid-'80s, all around Wayne National Forest, but no more alien/Bigfoot, whatever it was. There are black bears, cougars, black panthers, treat a lot of bobcats, coonhounds, lots of coyotes, and a few wolves around, and turkey/deer. Even seen one sloth that went into a hollow tree. There are several places around 500 acres or more of forest lands. They're always trying to get Bigfoot on video up by Cambridge, Ohio's Salt Fork Lake area. Been watching your videos since November 1st, 2022. Several a day. Been laid up with an ear infection. I've had lots of ghosts and orbs around since I lost a brother and dad back about 96, 97. That's sad to hear. Been writing poetry since 2004. Write lots of books on Amazon, working on book 18 now. Most have 100 poems or more per book. Several others been taken off YouTube for telling the truth. Be careful. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Keep up your great work, Steve. Norman Hale Jr. All right, Norman. Thanks, man. I wonder how many more people are shot at the same description of glowing red eyes in the woods, doing the exact same thing you were doing. I'll bet it's a lot. I have a 300 Ultra Magnum rifle. Many of you gun fanatics know what that rocket launcher is. I wonder what that would have done to one of those red eye owners. Crazy shit, man. And the dog thing. You guys know that I think it's an average 120 humans die from domestic dogs a year just in North America alone. Isn't that crazy? Side note, when they get in packs, they do stupid things, right? All right, what's this one? This is titled Ripped Limb from Limb. Howdy, Steve. My name is Phil. I want to share an experience I had as something I found for quite a while now. My little brother, Ron, has been encouraging me to do so for several months now. Please don't share my name. All right, I just started reading an email, and it went in, told the full name, and I read the whole paragraph. At the end of the paragraph, it said, please don't share my name. All right, now I just stop the camera, and I'm gonna have to remember to edit and cut that out. So, quick message to everyone. If you don't want your name mentioned, just don't put it in the email, okay? Because a lot of you start off with the whole paragraph, add your name, and then I keep going. And then I forget to edit it out, and then everybody calls me multiple names for, you shared his name and you shouldn't have. So, you don't want your name shared, don't put it in the email anywhere, okay? And I never save emails, addresses, ever. Probably should, because I heard you could sell those. Kidding. All right. Oh, dude, hold on a minute. All right, I apologize for the length of this. I believe something worth sharing is worth sharing clearly and completely. This experience took place approximately 4 years ago on my property near Wolf Creek, Oregon. It's located roughly 50 miles from the Northern California border and around 40 miles as the crow flies from Oregon's coastline, smack dab in the middle of the Cascade Mountains. My property backs 2,000 plus acres of state land, and we have 40 plus acres that are only accessible by going through our locked gate and crossing my 90-foot expansion bridge over Graves Creek, and then walking up half a mile long private driveway. You can see only lights in any direction from my house, and no one wanders up there uninvited unless they have a death wish. You just don't do stupid stuff like that out here. Here's a little precursor leading up to my story. Approximately a month before my experience took place, both my mom and mother-in-law were up at our guest house enjoying the quiet evening when they both heard a very low, throaty growl roughly 8 feet from the edge of the covered porch they were sitting on. They both froze and looked at each other in fear and disbelief. Then, through THUY, asked each other, then I'm just going to add it in my own words. Then they asked each other, did you hear that? They then jumped up and hightailed it into the house and called my house for me to come up and have a look around. I came up with my 12 gauge and I and had a look around in the trees and down the hill and couldn't find a single track in the soft dirt. My experience happened on a cool, dark fall evening while chopping wood by the light of the woodshed, when I had an incredibly strong gut feeling or warning come over me. This is more than a feeling of being watched, but the kind you get when you know that you're being watched by something or someone with a bad intent. I've been followed by a mountain lion before while hunting a troubling family of cougars for a friend with small kids in Oregon, as well as watched by wolves while up in the panhandle of northern Idaho while goofing around, and had the feeling of intent eyes watching me from just out of sight. In both cases, I found sign of them on my return. This was not the same feeling. Everything inside me was telling me to get to the house and get there right now. It was so intense that I knew I shouldn't even grab my jacket before making a direct beeline for the front door, approximately 100 yards away. I did just that. I wonder if there was a tweaker watching me and attempting to get the jump on me. There had recently been armed home invasions in our little town, and I wasn't going to give them the chance. No way. I couldn't imagine having that go on in my neighborhood, or a threat of that around my home. Having never been the one to stand down while someone else clears the scene, I grabbed my .44 mag and tactical light and went back outside to have a look around in the direction I felt the danger was in. I walked back out and began shining my light up into the woods and back down towards the creek, and I couldn't see any glimmer of eyes looking in my direction. I hollered a warning out into the trees and heard no response. I was shining my light down the driveway and made a quick 90-degree flash with my light up into the tree line at the base of the mountain, and saw, for a fraction of a second, the shine of eyes behind the larger trees. I stopped and watched the area for about a minute, but never saw anything else that evening. I had a very overwhelming feeling that there was a definite evil in the area. I was scared. The presences I felt was bad. I felt we were very vulnerable to whatever this was. I told my wife about what had happened, and then said a prayer, and I asked Heavenly Father to cast all evil or malicious people, spirits, or creatures off my land and not allow them back. I didn't see, hear, or feel anything again after that. About 9 days later, I received a call from my neighbor around the hill from me, and he said he wanted to show me something he had just found while inspecting his livestock fences that morning. He told me where to meet, which was on the property line we shared by one of the game trails that led up the ridge to the main mountain. I grabbed a sidearm, as I usually do, and loaded the dogs on the quad, then drove down to meet them. He directs me over to a well-used game trail and pointed. There on the trail was the torso of a large female mountain lion. I was amazed because of the state of the mountain lion. It had been killed fast, and not by a bullet or an arrow. Its head had been ripped off clean, as well as 3 of the 4 legs, including the tail. They were all pulled off close up to the body. The 4th leg was mangled and the bone shattered throughout the limb. There was no sign of the legs, head, or tail anywhere in the areas around to at least 150 feet away. We looked. My dogs wouldn't go near it. Holy shit. I don't know how most dogs would act, but that's not really normal for mine. One is half-blood timber wolf husky mix. He wouldn't get within 10 feet of the carcass. The area was thrashed in the immediate area, and when the head was ripped off, it came off fast enough that the blood rushed out so fast it washed the leaves 2 feet down the trail it was lying in. Okay, so that means the death came from the head being popped off, without a doubt. I checked for saw or chop marks on the bones of the missing head and limbs to see if maybe someone had taken that, but the bones had all been crushed or shattered. I'm a paramedic, so I've seen the difference. No other marks. There are also 4 large scratches down the side of the torso, approximately 6 inches long. I told the story to a friend of mine who volunteers for the Wolf Creek Fire Department, and when he was telling the fellows at the department, a couple old-time loggers that were listening asked if its head and legs were ripped off. He told them yes, they had been. The old-timers just said, Bigfoot. I have to agree there. The same neighbor 4 months prior called me when one of his goats had been grabbed and pulled through his fully enclosed, heavy-duty, hog-paneled goat barn, which is made up of 16-foot by 4-foot panels of 1/4 inch heavy-gauge wire, sealed completely from top of the barn wall to the ground. Something had grabbed the mother goat and pulled her through the 6-inch openings in the fence, which would have meant breaking the bones to get it through the fence. Other than the location where the fence paneling had been disfigured due to the incident, there was no sign anywhere that anything could have taken the mother goat out of the pen. The other 2 goats were found huddled in the corner in fear. Well, sir, I have a lot more to share with you, but it's taken me so long with so little time, spare time to get this email sent to you that I felt the rest of it would need to wait until after I've had a chance to compose it. With the lack of truth and transparency in our world today, it's important that any experiences, truth, and knowledge be shouted from the rooftops. Thank you for helping to make that happen, my brother. Dude, thank you so much, man. Send more. I want to hear it all. This one really made me go, holy shit. Okay, first off, just so you guys know, cougar flesh, the meat, is very, very good to eat. I've had it. Lots of my friends here in Vancouver Island hunt cats. They're all the time. They're hunting them right now. It's a white meat, and it's typically just similar to chicken, right? Chicken pork cross, whatever. It's good meat. So, whatever killed that cat didn't like it at all, right? So, at first I was thinking maybe it's one of those dog man things. Now, let's go down the line of predators. If it was a pack of wolves that got lucky and got a hold of a cat, they would have shredded the living shit out of it into a million little pieces and ate the whole thing. That's what they do. They would have ate the whole thing. You would have... Wolves on a cat, you would have found probably some tufts of fur, lots of fur, the stomach content. Well, maybe not even the stomach contents. The stomach contents of ungulates. An ungulate is a deer, a moose, an elk, caribou. The stomach contents, whatever they have in them, what they ate when they died, that's always on the ground. The predators never eat that, but they eat the guts, they eat the feet, they eat the face, they eat the skeleton. The wolves do. They eat everything else. Now, if it was wild dogs, pack of wild dogs got hold of that cat and ripped it apart, highly unlikely. The cat probably would have just started picking off those domestic dogs and killing the shit out of every one of them if it came down to that battle. And they would eat the thing too, I'd imagine. But you're not going to have that carcass with those missing pieces, unaccounted for. And the rest of that carcass that's laying there is going to be ate or shredded up. Anyway, you're a paramedic. You know what you're talking about. Getting back to you. What an alarming scene. What an alarming scene. Because I'm picturing it. That would be a freaking alarming scene for me. I'd be going like this. Holy shit, man. Oh my God, what the hell did this? And then the fact that the dogs wouldn't go near it, that's absolutely ridiculous. Any canine would be on that carcass licking at the blood and chewing at that thing like it was the best thing since grandma's apple pie. So there you go. Crazy, man. Crazy, crazy, crazy. You know, I had a quick thought on the sixth sense. I felt that whatever, there was absolute evil and dread nearby. And sometimes I wonder if it is them doing that to us, or if it is their presence, whatever energy they have about them is triggering us to be extremely, overwhelmingly in touch with our common sense. Our sixth sense, I'm going to start calling it our common sense. Because I'll never forget when the evil son of a bitch that came into my life when I was a boy. And I hadn't been exposed to evil or darkness before that day. So I was innocent. I was an innocent soul, innocent young soul, playing road hockey up the road. And I came home, and here's this man on my porch saying goodbye to my mom. I guess come over to visit some dude she met, and my mom did not go out and date lots of men at all after my parents divorced. But anyways, what I'm getting at is this guy, I had never been exposed to any darkness or evil before, okay? And this man, I won't even call him a man, this piece of shit was on my porch, and I come up the stairs, And honest to God, every single hair on my body, I'll never, ever, ever forget this 10 seconds in my life. Every single hair on my body was turned to absolute wire. I felt absolutely alarmed. And I mean, I remember it vividly today. I probably would not be able to describe what I felt back then, but now today I can. And I felt absolute alarm, absolute threatened. Did I feel danger? I don't know. Would there be danger mixed in there? Maybe, I don't know. But it was 110% overwhelming, threatening, discomfort, alarm. Holy shit. And that is what filled my frickin' body from head to toe when I walked by that man on my steps of my porch. And it turned out later on in life, it came to light that he was probably one of the top two or three dark, evil sons of bitches I've ever come across in my existence. And he basically annihilated my family. Right? I haven't shared my story. I don't feel any need to, but sometimes I think I'd share it just so a lot of people there would understand my position today now and how I carry myself now, and why I get a little overly aggressive when it comes to people fucking with people, right? And bullies. I have zero tolerance, and I've learned since my childhood that yes, fighting is the right thing to do. They're teaching us in schools and teaching us everywhere else to be passive. Just walk away, turn the other cheek. No, it's the wrong thing to do. I've learned that myself. Teach their own, take from it what you will or not, leave it. But I have learned that when it comes to good or evil, you have to fight. That's all there is to it. You have to fight. Somebody's got to fight. Somebody's got to fight. And I was conditioned back then to turn my other cheek, go along with it, look the other way, and as a result, lost my frickin' family. Okay? So, trust me, I know when it comes to darkness, you have to fight. Now, sorry about that little rant. I can't wait to hear more from you, man, on your email. I can't wait to hear more. We really need to hear more on this one. And I wonder if Dave might be interested in hearing this one about the cat. Possibly, I don't know, maybe. I'm not so well. We have had how many people have reported in? A good handful now. People have reported in of a tall, hairy, man-like being preventing a cat attack and killing the cat in front of him, pulling it apart, swinging it around, beating it on a tree or whatever. Right? That's been reported numerous times. So why they have a hate on for big cats, I don't know. But they do. What an interesting email. Thanks for that again. And for any of you curious out there, yeah, I got the guy back that came into my life. There you go, end of story. Now, what do we got? Here's another one. I was a skeptic, now I know. Welcome to the club. Dear Steve, I hope this message finds you and your loved ones healthy and happy. I've written you before and heard my experiences read by you regarding the subject of the Sabe people. When I first came to Georgia 40 years ago, I did not believe in the existence of Sabe, UFOs, or ghosts. I know now that all these entities exist. I had an experience with ghosts in the house of my first wife's grandmother after her grandmother's death. Needless to say, it was an eye-opening experience. I've seen a red light hover near the field where my deer stand is and then speed off straight away and disappear. What is more disturbing is that the experiences I have had with the Sabe have been in that same field that I hunt in. I've yet to not stop hunting in that field because I just can't let any of those experiences keep me from hunting deer. Right on, man. Good. I love hearing that. I have to plead with the blood of Jesus over me and the friends that I bring to the area to hunt. I also bring corn every deer season for the deer and the Sabe, and I tell them I bring extra corn for them as a thank you for staying out of each other's business. Last year I took oil and blessed it and anointed my deer stand and the land in the name of Jesus. No problems or pressure from the Sabbath in the past few years. I talk to them when I get there that I'm there to hunt deer for my family. I've done this because of the experiences I've learned from on your channel. Excuse me. All the people who contribute to this channel are much appreciated. It has made my life easier and much less stressful when I go hunting. Thanks, Steve, for your willingness to share your experiences and the experiences of others in the club in return. I stand willing and able to share your channel with others who have shared my experiences. As we say in the infantry, I have your six. Keep up the good work and keep your head on a swivel. Sincerely, Mark D. McCall, PhD. Mark, appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. We got your six, too. I'm pretty sure the club has got each other's six no matter what. No matter what. I hope you're, I hope everything continues to go smooth on your property. But there's no guarantees, right? You don't know. We do not know what may or may be coming. Where we've been hunting for years and years and years, or having a family ranch over generations, because I don't know how many people we've heard from. You know, as an example, man, we farmed this land for 3 generations, never seen anything crazy, never known nothing. And all of a sudden, here's this hairy, huge man-like being standing there looking at us. Set around 50,000 people, right? So it just goes to show, when you listen to the people and listen to that one statement, that lets me know, for me, it doesn't matter if you think they're not here. It doesn't matter if possibly if whoever may be frequenting your back 40 may be kind or not. There's always a big chance some shit's going down that's never gone down before, right? Because we've heard that from way too many people. So you keep your head on a swivel and go and follow your instincts. Get in tune with your common sense and stay in tune with it, right? Here we go. What's this one? It's the title, Lee in Klerksdorp. 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 Hey, Steve, I'm in London. My name is Stu. Too many bizarre, genuine incidents to share, but I want to share my best buddy Lee's. West of Johannesburg. Jayburg, they also call it. South Africa, I'm guessing. A couple of hundred clicks. Klerksdorp. Pronounced Clarksdorp. Well, who would have guessed that pronunciation? My best girlfriend, Lee, was 5 or 6. Their property stood separate from other new mining properties, all backing onto bush/savanna. All right, so we are in South Africa. Lee and cousin Lanice were at the bottom of the garden in their deep sand pit, bashing buckets into castles. She said for hours while playing, she could feel someone watching. Eventually, at dusk, her mother leans out the back screen and shouts, "Supper's ready." Screen door slams. They look over the lip of the parapet and say, "Yeah, Mom, okay." Lanice clambers out of the pit and jogs through the back door, leaving Lee in the sand pit. Frowning now, Lee decides to see why someone would be looking at her. So she puts down the buckets and spade, puts her fingers on the edge of the parapet, and slowly pulls herself up. And then it happened. Peering from within the shrubs and thickets was a thin green man about 2 feet tall. She says she froze and immediately looked down at her own feet. Disbelief set in, so she started propping sand inside the bucket, but couldn't bash the bucket because she honestly didn't want to disturb the creature out back. So she quietly puts down the plastic toys and slowly peers over the side of the pit, thinking, oh, it was all my imagination. As she peered over, the small creature was still there, but this time he was smiling. Complete terror set in, and she lost all vision on the side that the creature was. She stood up and walked quietly but determinedly to the back door of the house. Her mother admonished her for letting her food go cold, but she had not enough courage to tell anyone. I don't laugh at anyone anymore because I have absolutely no idea what anyone has experienced. Thank you for your time, Stu. Yeah, no shit, Stu. And you know as well as I do, Stu, there's going to be a shit pile of people laughing, shaking their head at this one, saying, yeah, what a joke. But for me, Unfortunately, too many frickin' people have reported the same shit. Green men. I mean, obviously the green men thing had to come from somewhere before they started using it in cartoons and movies. Had to come from somewhere, right? But aside from that, how many people have reported seeing green frickin' beings? Do I know anything about that shit? No. Do I have any interest in it? No. What would I do if there was a green man standing on my property looking at a child? I would put so many holes in that MFer, instantly it wouldn't even be funny. Some of you might not agree with that. I don't give a shit. The fact is, like I said, it's the children. I don't give a shit what it is. You have any kind of a predator or an unknown being sitting there in stealth in the bushes, locked onto your children. Locked on. It's all in the body language. I have a lot of videos on body language in my hunting apps and on my hunting channel, and I've proven what body language is in our world. It's universal. It doesn't matter what language you speak or if you can speak. Body language is huge, and I've proven it. I don't know how many times. I've had bucks, huge deer, all sorts of game animals. Oh, we're looking at each other real close, and I have spent upwards of a couple of hours with one particular deer or two, and I have dozens of video examples, and I just look away. I never look them in the eye. I never stare at them. I look down. I open and close my eyes a lot, and I scratch myself like this, like all animals scratch themselves. At times, while guiding big rams in the Northern Rockies, I've had rams like catch me off guard and the hunter behind me, like they're right there. And I've been down on the ground, and I've actually reached over and grabbed a mouthful of grass, went like this, and started over exaggerating my jaw, going like this. And it works. It makes them calm, and it makes them not run away. I've had, I don't know how many, I was hanging out with a doe this year in the timber, bow hunting. I put the video on somewhere. I think I put it on Instagram. And I hung out with that doe for over an hour and a half. And she looked at me, I'm looking off the side of her, she'd move, and I'd hang out, hoping a big buck was gonna come along. And I videotaped with my phone, and I got to within, I think, about 8 feet of her. And I've done this numerous times. So what I'm saying, you guys, is body language is universal. Everybody knows what body language means in the real world. You're locked on. I don't give a shit what species you are. If you're on private property camping, I don't give a shit where you are. If you're locked onto children with both of your eyes focused on them, you are asking to be dusted. Period. It's just the way it is. So, yeah, if I've seen something of that description or anything else, locked onto the children in the back 40, it's getting it. It's getting it as fast as I can get it to it. It's getting it. You want to try body language? You want to try a body language experiment? Go to your local bar. Go to a biker hangout. Pick out the meanest, ugliest person and sit there and stare at them. Don't look away and don't blink. See what happens, right? It's body language. It's body language. But anyway, I hope to have no green thing in my back 40. I don't want nothing to do with them. But if it needs to be shared, it's going to be shared, and we're going to let people know that the shit's going on. I don't give a shit how hard you laugh. Laugh your face off. I don't give a shit. Shit's going on, and we're going to share. We're going to talk out loud about it. If you can't handle it, move along. Honey Boo Boo needs some viewers, right? Never heard this on YouTube. Kids can see things more than adults can see. All right, let's get into this one. It's funny how the topic of kids has been coming up a lot lately. I don't know why, but I'm paying attention to it. 4 things to share. Hey, Steve, my name is Dina, and I live in Tomah, Wisconsin. I've listened to many stories and have never come across anything like mine. The first one I'm telling is about the kids seeing more than adults can see. I believe it was the summer 2018, and my son and his friend were age 10 and 11. Well, they knew I watched UFO and Bigfoot videos, so I figured it would be safe to teach them to look for, UFOs. 2 reasons why I thought this would be okay is, number 1, while in Germany as a military brat, my Army mom and dad take me and my brother on a bus tour to drive by the Black Forest on the way to the Nazi concentration camp. It's all grown-ups on the tour bus, but me and my brother, Kenny. He's 8, I'm 9. The tour lady said that there is ghosts and spirits here that kids usually see because they still believe in Santa Claus. Well, isn't she just a real prize? Everyone looks at us two kids like they were jealous or afraid for us. Well, we get off the bus, and on the right, behind a short brick wall, was these ghost children wearing clothes from their time. They were all smiling, looking around the corner at all of us. I told my mom what I was seeing so she could see where I was looking. She sees nothing. We didn't learn about the clothes they wore until we got inside the buildings, where they showed pictures of the people. My brother was scared. He had the Grim Reaper floating next to him the whole walk to the building entrance, with the axe and black cloak, no face. He was scared of that until his late 20s. That's when he finally told me what he saw back then. I told everyone around me that day what I saw. Number 2, the famous guy, Stephen Allen Greer, UFO guy, talked about his experiences, and from what I gathered at the time was, this might be okay. So my son and his friend, within a week, I bet, started seeing UFOs. They come running in excited about all the different ones they were seeing. Video one time. But the way they explained the lights they saw was no way a military UFO. Waves of light was the video he showed me. In a time period of 2 months of the summer, they each saw at least 20 UFOs or more. They ran into the house every night, freaking out about what they were seeing. I never went out because I assumed they would just be gone by the time I got out where they were seeing them. Until the evening I came home and parked in the apartment's parking lot. I got out of the car and the boys came over to me and pointed straight above us, asking me if that was a UFO. Within throwing a tennis ball or shooting a potato gun distance was a freaking UFO, no shit. This was the famous Tic Tac floating over us, heading toward our local bowling alley at like 1 mile per hour. No way was I thinking of taking this picture. First instinct was primal fear. In the back of my head is where I felt this fear at. The Tic Tac was short and stubby, not long. Almost like a ball shape. No lines anywhere, all smooth, no sound, and all white. I immediately told the kids that this seems not safe anymore and please stop looking for them because you're calling them to you. I can see now that they could kidnap you. We don't know who's nice and who's going to turn you into a zombie or something. My son quit. The other boy took a few more weeks. They know they are special for the rest of their life because some people only get to see just a dot in the sky or nothing at all. The other kids living here were too busy playing or thought that it was an airplane. I found out later from one kid that saw it. I didn't involve all the kids, just the 2 I was allowed with, nor did I want to involve all of them. It was meant to be more of a personal experience. That's it, of that one. The next summer, 2019, me and my man Dale and my son's friend went on a nature walk in the town of Millston. They have ski trails you could walk on in the summer. So we're looking for Bigfoot stuff along the trail. When we decided to stop down between the two hills or slopes, I thought I heard murmuring like people were coming up from over the hill. And next thing I know, my man Dale decides to do a loud whoop and scared the shit out of me and the kid we brought with us. Dale only did that because he felt happy and wanted to hear himself echo, I guess, LOL. Right after he finished in the edge of the trail, we hear something whoop back at us and take off. We never heard anything running through the woods away from us, so Dale assumed it was a bicyclist on the other trail. Dale whoops a few more times as we were now heading back to the car the same way this sound was going, just so we could gauge the distance traveled. It was obviously as fast, not as fast as a bicyclist or something else. Later we realized the other trail wouldn't have been that close to us. Otherwise, we would have walked through 4 foot of woods from our trail to cut across the other. And we would have seen an opening for a trail, but nothing like that. Quick story, me and Dale walked on public land, but in a particular place so I can be familiar with the area, and that's a road all around us. One day I left organic Fruit Loops for the Bigfoot to eat next to the side of the road, just on the tree line. A couple nights later, we went on a drive down that road at 2 to 3 miles per hour, smoking weed, windows down. Dale was shining his flashlight out the window, and I decided to look out the back passenger window. Then, holy crap. There was a big red eye, and not a friendly one either. It reminds me of sunglasses that have a tapered top that angles down like you're angry. I yelled out Dale's window saying, "I can see you?" I made sure it wasn't a reflection from my brake lights either because I backed up. I got the EBGBs. A couple minutes later, a month or two later, I was upstairs in my room when I heard 3 huge animals run across my roof. It's a 2-story apartment buildings, and you could tell they weighed as much as a bear, not a damn squirrel. Because when my man questioned me thinking it could be a squirrel, I looked at him like, "How dare you think I'm so dumb I can't tell the difference? We can't hear any squirrels if they climb on a roof." I looked out the way they were heading, and it was toward the Lake Toma, because I could see the tree line from my window, and nothing went to the woods that I could see. Last one is my brother Kenny's story. He wants me to tell it. His friends don't want to remember. They are 15, 16 years old at the time of this. He's 44 now, like early 1990s. One night, him and two guy friends were out at night driving a van and looking for animals to shoot at. They had a deer rifle, some other little gun, and a 9mm handgun. If they could have ate it, they would have brought it home to eat later. This happened right past the campground entrance in Millston. The only one, I believe. They saw 3 or 4 sets of red eyes, dog ears with the tuft of hair at the tips and a fluffy tail. The tree line is only, like 10 feet of grass line ditch before you hit the trees. So they open the sliding van door and point the gun right at their head. My brother is so damn good shot, and these things have him, the 2 red eyes, for a target. So how could they miss? He aimed between the eyes with the deer rifle, and these things didn't even flinch when he shot them. The other boy was shooting too while the other was driving. When they would reload the guns, they would shut the van door, drive a few feet, and open the door and start shooting again. They did this a few times before they decided to drive out there. These things followed them the whole time, staying in the edge of the woods. He didn't tell me this story until he was about 40 years old and knew I believe people that said this really happened to them. Then he finally let our dad and mom know. I think he could have told Dad right away because Dad is from the Appalachian Mountains of West Virginia, where my family came from. I want people to know that children can see better than you as an adult, and the first time we as adults don't believe them. Remember this, you just lost their trust, and now they're going to find someone else to fill the shoes you were supposed to fill. Amen. I'm not a perfect mom, but I sure do learn from my mistakes. Thank you, Steve, and of course, you can say what you want on your channel. All right. That's a lot of typing and a lot of your precious time you just donated to all the people through me, and I appreciate you for that. It's endless. It's endless. And yeah, I do believe that the children can see more, but it's only because they are still absolutely natural, untainted, still have all their natural instincts until they get it absolutely conditioned out of them almost instantly. As soon as you put them into that disgusting, embarrassing public school system, which annihilates, I believe the public school system annihilates us from what we were meant to be. That's just for me. Take from it what you will or leave it, but I am absolutely convinced. If I can encourage people to do anything, it would be to homeschool your kids and teach them the absolute truth about what's going on today. The truth, the dark truths. But children need to be homeschooled and taught the truth and have it blatantly pointed out to them so that they can know the difference between true good and true evil and what to support as they grow up and what to talk about as they grow up, right? Not to just fall in line and conform and be scared. I'll shut my mouth. I could obviously battle for quite a bit lately on this. I wonder why the topic of children is coming up a lot this week, isn't it? Something's going on. There's a message that needs to come out, I think, obviously. But something's going on. The topic of our children has been coming up a lot here lately. All right, let me do one more. Here's a short one, and then I have to go. in the minus whatever it is, freezing cold, blizzard, and I'm gonna pull the frickin' well pump out of the ground today by myself. A pain in the ass. All right, police involved in hunt for mud monsters, the title of this email. Hey Steve, this article, several on the web, is from a neighboring town's experience in the 70s. A lot of witnesses and the police were involved. I've never experienced a sighting, but we have heard heavy footsteps extremely close, seen less than 10 feet, in an open clover field under full moonlight with no visible body. I did not connect the footsteps to Bigfoot at the time. The late 70s, we thought more UFO type related, but now believe it is both. Several friends were there and experienced it too. We went back several nights over the years, and it happened a few more times. The area where experienced footsteps also had a reputation for UFO type phenomenon. I've watched several videos you posted over the years. I've evolved from thinking they were an offshoot of our ancient lineage to present day thinking they are much more. You give tidbits of your insight into what you think the beings are, but never a full explanation that I've seen. Maybe you could give us a full rendition. Either way, keep up the good work. Thanks, Jim. Yeah, I don't know, man. For me, it's my ride, right? It's my ride. It's your ride's your ride. Everybody's on their own ride. And I always tell everybody, it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. It does not matter what anybody else thinks. It's your ride. We all need to get in tune with our common sense and soak up as much frickin' first-hand knowledge as we can to save our asses before it's too late, and figure it out for ourselves. We can't be told. We can't be told what to accept. We can't be told what to think. We have to figure it out ourselves, right? And you figure it out yourself by taking in the knowledge from as many people as you can. You take from it what you will or you leave it when it comes to any tidbit of knowledge anywhere. You take from what you will, right? And you go with your instincts, your common sense, and you accumulate it all in a great big database between your ears, and then you figure it out and you make the correct decisions and you share the correct information as you go with who may need it or benefit from it. How's that for a little spiel? I can tell you what they aren't. They 150% aren't anything even remotely related to something called a Gigantopithecus. There's no frickin' way I'd bet my life on it. They are not an unrecognized animal, monkey/gorilla. No effing way. And the people that tell you this, they know they're lying through their teeth. I would bet my life on that fact too. They're lying. So, I can tell you what I know that they aren't. And yes, they are much, much more than what the majority of people are talking about. Sharing and telling, they're much more. That's what I do know for me. Okay? Like I said, it doesn't matter what I think. Shouldn't matter to you what anybody thinks. I don't give a shit what anybody thinks, right? But I want to hear what everybody's seen and learned about. How's that for a little spiel? Lots of spiels today, huh? Anyway, I gotta get going. I will be dropping a shit pile of knowledge that I've accumulated, though. I have some plans coming up soon. I'll share later of plans for what I'm going to be doing, where I'm going to be going, and why I'm going to go there, and what I'm going to be doing while I'm there. And it's going to be, a lot of that time is going to be dedicated to compiling a shit pile of information that I've acquired. And then I will be making it absolutely available to you and to do with what you will or to leave it. How's that for an answer? I hope that answers something. Anyway, Merry Christmas to everybody out there. Don't get caught up in the bullshit. Teach your children true, honest truth and point out what's going on with the dark side and the good side and educate them with honesty. Don't let them fall in line and teach them not to be scared. Teach them not to be scared. Anyway, I gotta go. The coffee's got me ripping. Hope I wasn't too annoying today. Sorry if I was. But I'm gonna get a whole pile of voices heard again soon. Be back shortly.